The world's best gathered in Como for the grand finale of the cycling season. The Giro di Lombardia, for the past 4 years, won by Tadej Pogacar. He was hoping to attempt a 5th in succession. That would be a record if it were to happen. Trying to make it happen for him was Rafał Majka, his teammate, retiring at the end of the day after a stellar career. Evenepoel was there, Pidcock and plenty of others too. A big day was in store as always, and the 5th and final monument of the year. Climbing to Ghisallo, the first of 6 big climbs, 4,400 metres. The final climb, as always, when they go to Bergamo, Passo di Garda. It was Quinn Simmons who began very quickly indeed, straight out of the blocks and the first to attack, trying to force a group away. 241 kilometres in total. At just 5k's in, he was already away with 8 other riders. Others would attempt to try and come and join. And eventually the Giro di Lombardia would have as many as 14 riders in its breakaway. Pressure, you would think, on UAE Team Emirates. A dangerous group of riders, some big names in there, including the likes of Pello Bilbao and Michael Matthews. UAE were getting help though, surprisingly so from Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe. There was a crash for Tom Pidcock after descending from the Madonna del Ghisallo, but he was able, thankfully, to continue. Pidcock and a few others distanced on the very tricky technical descent down to Lake Como were able to get back. Maximum gap for the breakaway was around 2.5 minutes. And the climbing proper hadn't really even started. Early splits were sewn up again. And Pogacar, for the moment, sitting in the bunch and being pulled along. From the break they started a drop, just over 100k's to go, Gaglivar being the first to be brought back. And with 88 kilometres to go at the beginning of the Passo della Crocetta, things changed again. In a negative sense for Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe as well, because there was a crash for Jai Hindley. The Australian having awful luck on his preferred roads in Italy this year. At the front, 10 riders remained. But from the front, there was about to be movement. The gap at 2 minutes 55. When Quinn Simmons decided it was the moment to go all alone. Three minutes of a gap, 82k's from the finish, and the group that was with him fractured. 4 chasers remained, led by Filippo Ganna, Michael Matthews. Bilbao was there, as was Louis Vervaeke. Pogacar was sitting at the back of his teammates, and Ben Healy was struggling towards the top. Seen as one of the outside favourites, unable to do anything on this particular day. Then it came to the Passo di Garda, the hardest climb in the race. One by one they rolled off and rolled back. UAE was still trying to bring back a gap of 2.5 minutes to Simmons. Jay Vine was at work. Roglic and Co had been dropped as well. Alaphilippe was going out the back of this group, and just at that moment, with Sixas and Evenepoel hanging on alongside Storer, it was a final turn from Jay Vine, and then the attack coming from Pogacar. One minute 15 behind Simmons, not even halfway up the Passo di Garda, and nobody able to react. A sight we've seen many a time before. This time, just as, if not more, impressive. The rainbow jersey taking flight with 36.5 kilometres remaining, and well on the way to chasing down Simmons. There's a flick of the elbow from Vine, and out of the saddle attack this time from Pogacar, and letting the wheel go by Del Toro. Simmons was reached, and he was with Pogacar until he wasn't. The American champion putting in the ride of his life, but was unable to keep up with probably the greatest of all time. A new climbing record set on the Passo di Ganda, just over 21 minutes, with Pogacar breaking his own record. Evenepoel tried to attack from behind over the top. He would reach to Simmons and would be on the way to getting rid of Stora. The Australian hanging on for as long as he could. And once up to Selvino, 19 famous difficult hairpins were about to begin. That's where Stora could not follow Evenepoel. The Olympic champion putting in a superb descending masterclass. Pogacar was at the bottom with a 1:16 advantage, seemingly, barring any incident, already having won the race. By the time he got to the climb to the Bergamo Old City, Città Alta, it was a festival of fans. And in the grand finale, a moment of celebration. Since the 1950s, only Fausto Coppi had stood alone on the top step of the Lombardy Hall of Fame. 70 years since then, and it was finally Pogacar to have Coppi keeping some company. Not only equaling the 5 wins, but doing it better. 5 in a row. No rider ever had previously won 5 Monument Classics all in a row. Pogacar also the first man on the final podium of every single monument in the same season. Evenepoel second once again, as he was at the Worlds and as the Euros. It was some performance from the Olympic champ, and also wonderful efforts from the likes of Stora, who's on the podium, and a big word for Quinn Simmons, a 4th place, a warrior-like performance from him. Del Toro would just about sneak into 5th place ahead of Pidcock. And the top 10 looking like this at the end of the 119th Giro di Lombardia. A 10th monument victory for Pogacar, a 50th solo win. You could continue to roll off stats and achievements all night. Another enduring image though, one of the moments in professional cycling. Tadej Pogacar winning 5 Lombardis. Something nobody had ever done on the bounce before. Played 5-1-5 at this venue. And Pogacar ending his season where he usually is, despite the late scare, on top of the podium. It's been quite the season. And as he goes into the winter, Tadej Pogacar does so, being unique in the history of the Giro di Lombardia.